In a world gone mad, only rationality and common sense can save it. It's Andrew and Jerry Save the World with your hosts, Andrew Langer and Jerry Rogers. And now, here's Andrew and Jerry.
Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Andrew and Jerry Save the World, episode 53. Andrew and Jerry are live from CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. Jerry,
thank God I brought that.
I've already pulled it. Well, listen, it's on video, so we can all see it. Jerry's just pulled out a flask.
Yes.
And he's going to
well, it's Irish Awareness Month.
For a second, Gerald, because you took. So, are you taking a little nip of the hair of the dog that bit you?
Oh, I bit him back, my friend. I bit him back. Oh, that's good. You want some?
No, I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. So we are live at CPAC. We're live at Radio Row. A little late, but none the worse for wear and tear.
How do they know we're late?
Because I'm telling them.
Oh, okay.
This is part of my story this morning of Jerry ditching me last night.
Oh wonderful night with a future member of the next administration.
So let me just set up for where we are. So we are at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, at the Gaylord Hotel, National Harbor, Maryland.
Sweating my butt off, by the way.
Yes.
Someone put on the air conditioning.
Yes. And it is very crowded on Radio Row. We are in a different area. Normally when we have recorded in the past,
they stick us in the back.
We are off in the back.
With the uglies.
I got to tell you something. It's different now. Hello, David. As we go and we do this, they've put all of the talk radio hosts. Are you gonna
say hi to people and just say their first name and not explain to the listener who just walked by?
Well, especially if it's someone who I think wants to remain secret, I'm gonna do that.
Why does he want to be secret?
I don't know. I assume that everybody.
The general counsel of ACU just walked by.
Okay, so now you just threw him under the. So David,
it's no secret he's here.
Yeah.
We're at CPAC, you know.
Are we?
Yes, and staff members from ACU will be here.
I had to call an audible. And
I'm the prettiest man on radio.
Along the lines of what Jerry was saying about me shouting out to people, there was someone I absolutely had to make contact with.
Are we not? We're not starting over. We're
not starting over. It's all the beauty
of all professional
of
disc jockey. We're not.
Our listeners, especially the 50% of our audience that listens in.
So that when you call that audio, were people still listening to us?
No, I paused the recording as soon as I yelled out to our friend. I paused the recording. The only people who saw this are you, me, our listener James Kane, who's watching us.
And we could have come back and just started over again.
I did not want to go and do that.
Why?
Because I wanted to capture the magic of the moment, the beauty of the spontaneity, Jerry. That is the Conservative Political Action Conference.
You're an odd
By
duck.
the way,
you're an odd duck, my friend.
As you were,
I love you, but you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo dude.
As I'm fond of saying, every CPAC is different, and this CPAC is certainly no different. So to set things up, they have all the radio guys up front. Jerry and I are actually mixed in with the radio guys, thankfully. And then
we're radio guys.
But then Jerry, you haven't been back there. So
no, I haven't been.
All of the various TV outlets are back there.
Yeah.
You got Mike Lindell's TV network is back there.
Really?
You got the setup.
He has a network now.
Yes, you got the setup for Donald Trump Jr.'s thing over there. You got all
Donnie Jr.'s back there.
Donnie Jr. is back there. Yes. So you got all kinds of folks. Jerry, folks with podcast setups. I thank God that we are perceived as being talk radio because our podcast setup is put to shame by.
I tell you, we don't have our thing behind us.
Well, this. All right. I'm going to try to remedy that situation for tomorrow's show. I'm going to try to find.
Did you take my advice and call the hotel guy?
I was told I was given a resounding no.
Why?
Because of line of sight issues and not putting up stuff over here.
Oh, but
yes.
Wait, it makes no sense.
Dude,
what's that down there?
I am just doing.
Well, who said no?
Dave Mohel said no. I don't want to throw him into the. See,
I tell you, now let me tell you something right now.
Yes,
you're 0 for 2.
Wait a minute, I'm 0 for 2
because there are two things I told you to do, or not do, and you didn't do. You did the opposite of what I told you to do.
So says the man who was supposed to come to dinner last night. And
oh my goodness!
I'm going to go for an hour.
But you so early.
My dinner ended. We did a dinner from 7 till 9.
Oh, it was 9 o'clock?
Yes.
All right.
I
didn't realize that was.
But you were going to your thing at 6. I'll come over at 7. Oh, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it over.
I'm sorry. They did start. Our dinner started way late.
Yes, I know. So to set the scenario, and I'm sorry I didn't get the thing set up behind us. I assumed we were gonna have the same kind of a setup before, where we would have the thing back behind us.
God bless the person that said no to you, but line of sight. Everyone. Yes.
We're
the only ones without one.
I understand this. I am aware of this fact
over here.
Yes, so I'm going to try to remedy this for the show tomorrow. You're going to ping on this all day. Yes. So 9 o'clock. I see.
By the way, thank you. You went out and purchased this.
Time out for a second. Yes, I did.
Hard-earned monies on that.
So it's. By the way, your dinner also was only going to go a couple of hours.
Yeah, I thought I'd be done by 8.
There you go.
Yeah, I did.
And
6 to 8.
And so 9 o'clock rolls around, and I'm getting it down. We're finishing up here. David stopped by, and
was he at your dinner?
No, he stopped by your dinner.
Oh, but did he come from yours to mine?
No, he did not come from mine to yours. So he went, and so I show up at the restaurant where Jerry was eating, and Jerry is sitting back there.
The food was delicious.
Yes,
by the
I'm
way.
not going to say who it was you were arguing with. Our good friend.
Was I arguing with somebody? Or was I just being myself?
Guys, you were being yourself.
All right.
Deep in lather.
If there's an argument,
yes.
You know I'm arguing.
Yes. No. It was
people go flying. Things go flying.
Yes. So, but I had a good day yesterday. You also, and unfortunately, you missed my panel.
Well, I know my dinner started at 6.
Yes.
And I had to meet someone there, and look, my dinner last night, I'll say what it was. It was a healthcare dinner.
Yes. With
some health experts and some think tankers, some industry, and also Eric Hargan, the former interim health secretary and deputy secretary at HHS. Very good guy.
Yeah.
Smart, right on all the issues. And frankly, we need more reasonable voices, honest actors on healthcare policy. And Eric's one.
Yes.
And he's a superstar.
Yes.
And so having an opportunity to sit with him and exchange ideas.
That's always.
I got caught up.
I'm only giving you guff because we're on the air.
But I tell you, the food was I was shocked.
45 is a good restaurant.
Oh, but the thing is, I ordered my ribeye and with potatoes. This was after having all kinds of appetizers. Then they came out and they put lobster mac and cheese.
Now I am going to yell out.
On the
Hello,
table.
John Popp.
There he is,
yes.
The greatest producer in the world.
Yes,
John Popp.
Your potatoes, your steak now.
Oh, but then he came out with lobster raviolis.
Our friend who wants to have dinner with us tonight said he'd be happy to go. You don't remember?
I remember. Terry, I'm trying to think if I look fat. My head looks so
look fat. You're fine. It's it's all okay.
Look, how's this?
I love the
How do I look like this?
You look fine like that. But I love it. You have no idea. You have no idea that we have dinner plans for tonight.
Oh, we do. Yes,
we do.
That. Yeah.
So,
dinner.
Well, that's the thing. He said we would be happy to go back to Bond 45 if you like to go.
Good. Can I put my stuff in your room?
Yes, of
course.
My
checkout's 4 o'clock.
Yes, so you can absolutely do that.
Unless I should stay over.
Listen, I was going to take wages as to whether or not you were going to try to extend your stay for another night.
Should I?
I'm inclined to say you should, but that's just
I've packed enough. Yeah. All right, we'll make an audible later.
Yes, I think you can. So, but Jerry, I will say, for my own sake, I knocked my presentation out of the park yesterday.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Was it videotaped?
I think it was, and then there were folks who were taking pictures, and there was little snippets of video that our good friend Stephanie Bell, who's on 93.9 The Eagle in Columbia, Missouri. She filmed a little bit of it. I'm going to say it's The Eagle. I don't remember if it's 93.9 or not. But it was great. I got in there, Jerry. I had done a whole PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, I know this. Yeah.
And then I spent the afternoon whittling it down.
Right.
And then I got into the room, and there are hundreds of people in this room to do activist boot camp for CPAC. And Will Estrada, who does...
he was on Chips.
No, this is his son. That was Eric Estrada.
Oh, okay, very good.
This is his son, Will. And Will Estrada was doing a great presentation on parents and school boards and things.
Really? Not policing?
Not policing, okay. not motorcycle riding,
right.
not hang gliding, not delivering babies in the backs of cars.
What was your presentation on?
On regulatory activism.
Regulatory activism.
Yes. Getting the base riled
Sounds
up.
like you should be a Marvel character.
You mean like our sign that we can't put up, but I'm going to try to solve the problem for tomorrow.
Actually, this is awesome. I love this.
You like it?
Yeah, although I don't like my tights. I don't like the tights.
Okay.
I'd rather have on a pair of.
All right, hold on. He's sitting down. Am I turning on your microphone? All right, hold on. There you go.
You know, John Popp.
Hello,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
I don't think your headphones are plugged in.
I don't think so
There
either.
you
Do
go.
I need?
No, you need them. You don't need them.
Hi there, it's John Popp.
I'm heading.
John, I just so you know, this morning I loaded up the Kevin Roberts show. Part of our podcast curation. I loaded him up just real quick. We've been doing it for about 10. So Real Clear Policy, we are curating podcasts now.
Right.
And John Popp, of course, is producer extraordinaire at Heritage. I'm finding that we're getting upticks from the other podcasters are saying, "Hey, Jerry, we had X% more downloads this week. Thanks." So I'd be curious to see if Kevin's numbers are going up.
Cool.
You know,
Cool.
that's-
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Hey,
Thank you for doing that.
On a sad note, I don't know
Yes.
if you've heard, but our good friend Rob Spiewak had a car accident. He's okay. Somebody affiliated with the Michael Mara show did not survive. Rob, so our
Good
prayers
Lord.
go out to the family of Rob Spiewak.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, we'll say a prayer
Somebody,
for him.
a mutual friend texted me last night and said, "Hey,
Oh.
have you heard this?" And I'm like, "No, I hadn't." So
Wow, it's too bad.
I know we're
You can tell
podcasting here.
people who he is.
Okay, so John years ago was the producer for the G. Gordon Liddy show.
John. Everyone knows who John.
Yes, but also on Superstation JFK.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Don and Mike show.
Yes, it was.
Producer, board op,
Oh,
Hang
right.
on.
Right.
Rob A.
Rob A. Spiewak, who now
Got it.
went on to be part of the Michael Mara show.
Got it.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think 90% of our listeners would actually
I
get
have
that.
to teach him how to do radio.
Yes.
Good luck with that.
I do assume things.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Well-
John, thank you for paneling for a moment.
Thank you, gentlemen. By the way, mentioning the podcast stuff, thank you for doing that. And
Yeah.
with the uptick,
Yeah.
I saw a doctor about that. He was able to cure it.
A simple shot of penicillin
Yeah.
will cure the uptick.
John, God bless you, buddy. Thank you.
Some good lice-ridding medicine will do that.
No, so for our listeners though, at Real Clear Policy, if you front page, center page, every day I'm putting up 4 podcasts.
Yes,
And frankly, I put our show up, and I think we've seen
We
a
have.
slight uptick.
we have. Definitely, folks outside of the greater Minneapolis.
And then
area.
I know this. Look, the Jerry Rogers show at WBAL, it's podcasted. I posted that, and I got a call from one of the new station assistant station manager there, and said, "Hey, more people listen to your
There you go.
podcast
Imagine.
than listen to the show."
So you're telling me, Jerry, when somebody actually gives a podcast greater exposure, their
Yeah.
numbers go up.
Yeah.
It's astounding.
Now
to
I
me.
think it went from 0 to 10, but
Well, that's
regardless.
okay. Still, an
Yeah,
increase of 0. Listen, if you go from 1 to 2 listeners, you've doubled your
Indeed,
listenership.
indeed.
Anyway, so what I was saying is I get into this room last night and Will Estrada is doing this fantastic presentation. And I turned to David Safavian, who was introducing me and giving some remarks himself. And I said to David, I'm scrapping the PowerPoint, Jerry. I went without the PowerPoint last
Excellent.
night
You just went
and just went off went off the cuff.
natural.
And yes, that's right. I was essentially I went, as they say, commando, as it were. So, Jerry, CPAC, how many CPACs is this for you? I know you skipped
Well, we
a couple
do
of years.
Well, I didn't do the COVID years when
Yes.
they were out of town. So the last CPAC was for me
2020.
was the COVID CPAC.
Yes,
We were at ground zero of the COVID outbreak.
that's right. And as it
And
happened, Jerry,
yeah, and you and I went home and didn't feel well.
that was but was not COVID.
We don't know.
No, I
It
don't
might
think
have
it was.
been.
No, so, but that was an interesting CPAC to sort of set the Wayback Machine, because
Yeah.
it's interesting how history repeats itself.
Why was that interesting?
Because that was the CPAC at which Brett Hollander announced his resignation from WBAL,
And then
you stepped in and did Brett's shows as that
That's right. I
announcement
forgot
was
that.
made.
Yeah.
And then here we are. I mean,
I did the what was it, the 2 to 6 spot at WBAL for almost a year.
yes,
4 days a week.
2 to 6.
2 to 6. What did I
Was it
say?
2 to 6? I think, yeah, okay, yes, that was right.
It was 2 to 6.
It was the afternoon.
Right. By the way, WBAL announced today.
This is my point. The more
Yes.
things change, the more things stay.
Oh, yeah,
And here we
TJ
go
Smith.
3 years later, they are now finally filling that afternoon.
Right, and
there.
TJ Smith is a fantastic guy,
Yes.
a retired police officer, common sense, kind of practical spokesperson, voice. I think he leans left on many issues, but on crime and urban issues, I think he leans right. So maybe he's a good fit for Baltimore. But good stuff, and congratulations to TJ Smith.
Congratulations to TJ Smith as we sort of cover these things. But my point is, so 3 years ago was your last CPAC.
Yes.
How has CPAC changed for you over time?
Well, I'm heavier today than I was 3
You're
years
twice
ago.
the man you used to be.
I've gained. Well, I gained all that weight during
Yes.
COVID.
So folks are seeing more of you around CPAC, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I'm noticing on camera, if folks are watching, my hair. Holy moly, I have Elvis hair. I am so good
I
looking.
was noticing your hair last night.
Was it good? I
Mr.
look
French.
good, right?
You're Mr. French.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
kind of a Frenchy mood. Last
Yeah, yes, you were.
You know?
Yes.
Those are
Oh God! In fact,
there are guys you can hit and guys you can't hit.
Yes.
He's kind of the type that you can't hit.
So and it's funny because one of the things is Jerry did make fun of me when I got my drink last night.
Because what you a gimlet?
I got a gimlet. I like it
You're
good.
You're a funny duck. You know what?
What's
By
the
the
matter
way,
with
what was I drinking last night?
You were drinking whiskey. Yes,
Whiskey.
I understand this.
A man's drink.
So what's
a gimlet? What is a gimlet?
A gimlet is either vodka, usually gin. A gin gimlet is gin with lime juice. I like
My daughter
club
drinks
soda.
gimlets.
Listen, and your compadre last night was drinking espresso martinis.
Who?
You didn't get much.
That's even.
The person you were
Really?
conversing with.
Vodka? What?
Espresso martinis.
That's ridiculous.
Yes. And so I'm just you're giving me crap for ordering essentially gin and juice, and yet
I tell you,
nothing
our dinner date this evening, the gentleman from corporate America who we're having dinner with, he likes gin. He told me his favorite drink is gin.
Listen, I'm telling you, gin's good, especially if you're warned. If it was a day like today and I'm outside, a nice.
Does our program? If you go and watch the podcast, can you comment?
No.
Is there? Oh, darn! Because I'm interested to know our listeners what's their preferred drink.
Oh, something. If we were doing this live, right? Yeah, they could send it in.
Well, I'm live. I'm right here. Live.
They can Facebook message us.
Oh, real? Okay. Oh, very good.
Yeah,
I am curious. What's your drink?
Hold on, James. What are you saying? Yes, that's exactly right.
Thanks.
I'll post it to James. So we've gathered an audience, by the way.
Yeah, and James. By the way, James Kane is here today, and one of our most loyal listeners.
Yes,
but also one of the best comments.
Yes,
you comment all the time, which is fantastic.
So James is suggesting, Jerry, that we do a Twitter poll. What's your
drink? Let's. Oh, you're brilliant.
Yes, see, there you go. So
maybe James should do that.
He could, but he could also retweet it. I put it up.
Oh, you put it up.
And then you retweet it and I retweet it. And
all right.
We go down this road. Jerry.
By the way, it's March the 2nd. Can we say that?
Yeah.
It's Irish Awareness Month. Can we say that? God forbid we are aware of the Irish.
I assumed that March was Irish Awareness Month.
Yes. What? And also today's Tracy Barclay's birthday. He's leaving again.
Yes,
what's he doing?
Because I have your present for you.
Oh, for what? What? Why am I getting presents? Is it whiskey? I see we can a nice picture of Andrew's buttocks.
What is it?
Is it a hat?
Yes, it is.
Can I see it?
Yeah, hold on for a second.
Goodness.
It's called the business of show, Jerry. Thank you very much.
It is.
Gerald, I was at over
next time you get up there, you got to shake your money.
I know, I will.
Shake your money maker.
Jerry, I was in Charleston, South Carolina last week.
Yes.
For Parents Weekend at the College of Charleston. And my daughter and I went out to Folly Beach, which is a beach community right outside of Charleston.
My brother, that's my brother's beach.
That's your brother's beach.
Yeah.
And we went to their Sea and Sand Festival, which is kind of like an arts and music festival.
Sea and Sand.
And there was a woman there who was doing custom embroidered hats.
Really?
And I saw a hat and I wanted it for myself. And then I said, something? No.
Oh, Andrew.
This is because, Jerry, it is, what do you call it? Irish
Heritage Awareness.
Irish Heritage Awareness Month. Jerry, I got you this hat. Show it up to the camera.
This year.
Yes.
St. Patrick's Day. That's a nice hat. Look at that.
That is
Can
a
you see it?
gorgeous hat. It's
She makes this.
the right shade of green
This is fantastic.
for you.
I'm not going to put it on right now.
No, don't put it on right now because you don't
I'll put
want to
it on
mess up
later.
your Elvis hair.
That's right, but this is fantastic.
There you go. I thought you might like that. I myself got this. I'm actually going to put it up on display. This is a We the People hat, which is very, very nice.
Put
You
this
know,
right
I can
here.
wear from
Hey,
my
here.
Yes, that's what I'm
There
going
you
to
go.
do. There you go. So Jerry, happy early St. Patrick's Day.
Well, I've decided that if America continues on this wrong track with diversity, equity, inclusion, with the public schools, and all the rest of it, I'm going to go to Ireland.
You've said this,
And they've been socialist over there forever.
yes.
You know, Sinn Féin and the IRA
Sinn Féin.
were a bunch of
Sinn
socialists.
Féin, IRA, IRB.
But the thing is I wouldn't care. I get a nice cottage, and I would drink whiskey, and I would give tours with an American
Let me
accent.
ask you a question. Was Sinn Féin Marxist because they were inherently ideologically Marxist?
No,
Or were they Marxist because they got support from the Comintern for their revolution?
no.
Northern Ireland.
They were socialist.
Okay. I'm sorry,
but
not Marxist, but socialist.
But here's the story there. Remember, 1916, right?
Yes.
The Easter Rebellion. So you had the Irish in those early years, the first part of the 20th century. Remember what was going on in Europe. You had the Russian Revolution.
Absolutely. Yes.
You had the working class in England, right? You've seen Peaky Blinders.
I have.
So what happened was the Irish rebels got caught up with that political movement.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what it
So
was.
it was the zeitgeist of the time. Steve
Yes,
Bannon now
absolutely.
walking by
I tell you, I
with
look
a cadre around him.
God bless him, but I look better than that guy.
You look better as his bodyguard. You look better than this guy too. Talk about hair. Anyway,
I like that. Hey, look at that. That's me. 1986.
that's your hair.
Awesome.
I
had feathered
you
hair.
had chips. You did not have.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
and,
my
and
God.
also I had it frosted. I had Bon Jovi.
Oh my God, Jerry, you're
Oh, you gotta go back.
such a Jersey boy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Such
No.
a Jersey. Going down to the shore, gambling on weekends. Hello, Charlie Sauer.
Hey, John.
See, now you're into it too. Now you're into it too.
I probably owe him something too, which I will talk about later. I think one piece. All right.
Yes. So
Praise
there
the
you
Lord.
go. You want to sit for a second, Steve Gruber?
Steve Gruber.
Jerry
Jerry Rogers.
Steve
Should I
Gruber
salute you?
from,
Shake
from
you. salute
Michigan.
you.
Steve Gruber, who changed his plans, came in late.
And he's the host of. Come on.
The Steve Gruber Show
There you go.
on the Steve Gruber Network.
I'm gonna have to help.
It's a whole. He's still.
forgetting how to do it.
Yeah, listen, I'm shaky.
I'm
I may be joining you tomorrow. I'm hopefully going to join.
Excellent. I like that.
Steve has Steve has the Andrew Langer.
Thank you.
Jerry lectures me about radio and my radio voice, and I go ahead and do it. So CPAC, how many CPACs is this for you?
I think it's 113, but
Yeah.
I've lost track. I mean, it's been a lot. I don't even.
Who's the first CPAC?
For him or just
No, just the first one.
I
That's
think
a
it was
fine
I
question.
think it was 70. I think it was 70.
I was going to say 74, but I'm not sure.
Maybe.
And it
Yes.
was Buckley and that crew, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So my first CPAC, I think, was 88.
Yeah.
88, I think. I was in college and I came down with the college Republicans.
Right.
And I remember we stayed. They put up for college kids. They gave us housing, or they like we could stay with someone.
Right.
Yes.
And so I came down with my girlfriend.
So you flopped.
Yeah. Well, yes, but I came. Down
I mean, it's just called for what it is.
Sure.
Right, but it's
Floppy is
it's a funny story, though.
the word for floppy.
So my girlfriend came down, and and I talked to her parents and my parents, and I said we're going to be careful. I'll be respectful. Anyway, look at this guy.
Steve is pointing out. By the way,
you
Steve is
joking?
not on camera. Steve is pointing out our Andrew and Jerry Save the World sign.
Dun, 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 dun.
Remember when
I
we
told
were down- I know you were, but Steve interrupted you to.
I'm going to
point
take a
out the
drink
sign.
while you tell what I.
Whoa, wait a second.
I ain't
You
sharing.
guys got cocktails and superhero drawings. I mean, I'm in the wrong place. Anyhow, your story. You're
Yes.
flopping on the
So-
couch.
So Eric and I, who's now my wife, we came down and we flopped, and this place was it was filthy.
It was literally a
we
flop
went
house.
we went into
There you go.
It was a bunch of college kids or young Hill staffers. I went to the bathroom and you couldn't see the floor for the hair all over the place.
Oh,
So I bet she dug that.
Oh,
We like that sort of thing.
And here's the thing: we had no money, so I called my mom, and I said, "Ma, this place is filthy." Erica had her own room. I had, we were very respectful in terms of perception and that sort of thing. But I called my mom. I said, "Ma, I got to get a hotel room."
This is disgusting.
Yeah, and I said, Erica and I can't afford two, so we're gonna get one room. And I said, what do you think? She's like, "Come home now."
yes.
So that was my first CPAC.
So Steve, you have to understand. So it's Gerald.
Yes.
Gerald, yes.
Gerald.
His father is named Gerald.
Yes, the mighty
And his
Gerald.
mother's name is Geraldine.
Big Jerry, Little Jerry, and Crazy Jerry. I love that.
So CPAC has it changed over the years? I mean, is your outlook change?
Here's the thing. We're in a divided country, that's for sure. And I say that from experience. You look at Florida. Florida's not a swing state anymore. Florida's red.
Yeah.
Ohio, red. Iowa, red. These were swing states 10 years ago.
Yes.
Right, all of them.
Yeah.
And I live in Michigan, where today, as we speak, sitting here today, they're nullifying my concealed carry license.
Wow. This is
Yeah, they're nullifying, for all intents and purposes, 800,000 plus concealed carry licenses. And here,
What are they doing? So, because Maryland's doing the
here's
same
what they're
thing.
doing. Here's what they're doing. They're nullifying. There used to be exemptions, have always been exemptions for concealed carry. You could go to the grocery store.
Yes.
You could go to the bank. You could go. No more. They sell liquor. In fact, you can't even be legally in the parking lot of a Kroger store because they sell liquor. You cannot legally lock your gun in the glove box because there's liquor inside the store.
State constitutional muster. It's
Yeah. How many years is that from now?
That's the problem.
And then the second thing is, Gerald.
always get yelling at you. I'm with you.
Pay attention, Gerald. I'm holding class here. Would you pay attention?
Yes.
You might learn something. My dad used to say,
I-
listen, you might learn something. Just quiet for you. You might learn something.
Caring right now. So
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You might pass constitutional muster, but you have to have somebody with standing. What does that mean?
get arrested.
Somebody's got to get arrested
That's
first,
right,
and
yeah.
then you've got standing.
Right.
Yes. Can you get to the Heller decision of the Supreme Court? Yes. As long as they all stay healthy.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it.
So,
and then you take
in
your,
Maryland,
and God forbid, by the time you get to the court, one or two justices are gone.
I mean,
You don't have control of the
in
presidency.
Maryland,
This
it's
is
the same thing. Senate Bill number 1.
yes.
And what they're doing is that you cannot, or they're gonna make illegal concealed carry because you won't be able to carry anywhere.
Yes.
But I don't understand
Right.
how this would even. What about the Michigan state Supreme Court?
let me tell you it's 4-3 left, so we're screwed.
Wow.
So here's what's going to happen. Let me tell you about the Michigan model. I'm gonna predict the future
I
for you right here on
appreciate
your
this.
program. You're gonna like this a lot. So 2 election cycles ago, to drive left of center voters, they put marijuana on the ballot.
Yes.
In 2022, to drive left of center voters, they put abortion on the ballot. In 2024, bet your bottom dollar that AR-15s will be on the ballot. And Michigan's one of those states that they can put it right into the state constitution
Wow.
Would that
and shove it right down your throat.
But that might drive. That might have the opposite impact.
Well, let me just say this: 800,000 plus concealed carry pistol license holders in Michigan. I just want to ask those people in Michigan, how many of you forgot to vote in November
That's
because it just
sure.
wasn't a big deal?
Sure.
Sure.
Yes.
Is it a big deal today because you just got basically? Oh, and one other thing, you can't be within 100 feet of one of these mass mail-in ballot drop boxes, which are randomly along the street.
Yes.
So if you're driving down Main Street in Little Town, USA, Michigan, and there's one of those things, and you've got a gun on you, you're a felon.
I don't see how this could.
It's all going through
But
today,
it's
11
not-
bills. But here's the magical thing about it. It's in response to the Oxford High School shooting in Michigan State a couple of weeks ago.
Sure.
11 bills. Not one that would have had any impact on either one of those shootings because
Right.
they're both handguns. Red flag laws wouldn't have made a difference. Safe.
What would have made a difference if the prosecutor in that
Right.
case had given that perpetrator the full brunt of the law?
You know how much money we're spending in Ukraine, right?
Yes.
$200 billion. If you took an average salary of $80,000 per public peace officer and put one police officer in every school building in America, K through 12, is about 133,000 buildings. It's $11.5 billion. Why aren't we doing that?
Right. Yep. Yes.
If school's already got one,
Yeah.
give them another. If a school doesn't have one, give them one.
That's right.
You know where you've
Yes.
never had mass shootings? Detroit Public Schools, they have their own police department. Chicago, dangerous place. You ever had a public shooting, a mass shooting in Chicago schools? No.
Yes,
How about
that's true.
Cleveland?
Right.
Any of them.
It's funny because I was thinking about that. Anyway, I was thinking about that yesterday as I was driving in. That
You were channeling your inner Gruber.
I was absolutely because I was getting ready.
Gerald?
Getting ready.
Yes.
Channel your inner Gruber. You might learn something.
That you know something, Jerry? That should have been the title of today's show, episode 53, channeling our inner Gruber. Steve, I'm sorry. I know we caught you as you were
That's
walking.
I
greatly
enjoy
appreciate
you. I like you guys. I
you?
enjoy. I do.
it. You both this.
I miss dinner, but
Yeah.
Like,
so did Jerry. So did Jerry. You know. So it's.
I was at another dinner and I
Well,
couldn't get there.
I haven't missed dinner much in my life, obviously, but
I know.
Yes.
Taking another drink.
he keeps hitting the flask. I mean, it's working with you that hard.
I would say so, probably, without a doubt.
What's your favorite drink?
I like a good bourbon, honestly. I've been trying to find this thing called Pappy Van Winkle's. It hasn't been that easy to
Sure.
find. Good
Yes.
Lord. It's also, bust the bank to have one, but it's like a trophy you put on the shelf, I guess.
I drink Irish. That's all
yes.
I drink.
I like Jameson Black Label.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Ooh.
I like Tullamore Dew.
See,
I like
Jerry
Bushmills.
turned me on to
I like
Tullamore Dew.
Powers.
Oh, that's
Tully's,
like
Tully's
Tully.
good
yeah,
stuff.
but that Jameson Black Label, I never had it until a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago. That's pretty strong.
Yes.
Yeah. Jameson itself, though, there's something I'd rather have.
I know it makes you do unnatural things.
maybe in Michigan.
This is why I don't drink tequila.
This is why you up in flop houses with the floor covered in hair.
Yes.
What happened, Jameson's?
Yeah.
This is a long story.
long
Jesus,
and
yeah.
involved.
Where are my pants? Never mind.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for joining us. I can't tell you how much I enjoy you.
Gentlemen,
God bless you, buddy.
carry on.
There, always.
And I want a superhero. Just throw that anywhere. It's fine.
Got to teach you how to do radio. That's a microphone,
Oh.
Jerry.
Oh, you're
Steve, thanks.
listening on that one.
Yes,
That's
yes,
zinger.
yes. Well, as what most folks don't know is that Jerry actually doesn't have whiskey in his flask.
Oh, I do.
Okay, I was doing a bit here.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to do a bit here, Jerry.
Sorry.
I stepped on.
So you had a
You
lie?
stepped
Do your bit. I want to hear it now.
No, I was just going to say you had essentially like Kool-Aid. Like
I only took 2 sips. It's not like it's having an impact on me.
Sure. Only two sips.
I have. Is that a beer?
No, I think that's one of those energy drinks. I think it's a bang energy drink.
Talking about bang.
So
That's bad.
I went. That's the kind of thing that will give you and me make our hearts
die.
explode through
Yeah.
our chests.
Oh, by the way, I went to the doctor yesterday.
Okay.
I went.
Do you want to
I
talk
went-
about this
so
on the
I
air?
went in for a physical. Yeah, I do because I lost 5 pounds since my last visit.
Okay,
That's pretty good.
that's okay. I hope of course, the last visit was 20 years ago. It's not okay.
No, it was a year ago.
Okay.
And
Wait. So you lost 5 pounds in a year?
yeah, but however, I probably gained 20 and then lost again.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
yeah.
Yes. This
But-
is like Biden dealing with
But
economics.
a year ago, my blood pressure was 170 over 110.
Okay. Wow.
That's pretty bad.
That's terrible.
It was 154 over 98 yesterday.
Hey, congratulations.
So,
Well, Jerry, it's because you're doing your daily multiple constitutional.
yeah, I did it today.
Walking
I
5
walked
miles a day.
today,
Is
That's
that
why
part
I
of the
went-
reason why?
That's why I went and got my media credentials
Before your shower.
before my shower. See,
I
Andrew
was
called me
wondering
up.
about that.
He's like, Gerald, where are you?
Yes.
I'm like, I'm getting my media credentials. He goes, well, come on up here. I'm like, I can't. I have to take a shower.
Mary Walter is sitting down and joining us. Mary Walter.
Seriously, dude.
Guess what? What now?
Seriously, another broken promise. That's all. I'm
What I
saying.
did? What I did?
You showed up. You showed up late.
Oh,
just talking about
I'm
that.
Where were you last night?
Oh
Well, I
Yeah.
had
I have a lot of questions. That's all I'm gonna say.
I had drinks with a friend.
Oh
we know we were there.
no, I don't think he's talking
No,
about
I
us.
was talking about. Yes,
I was going to go meet you guys.
yes, you
remember?
were.
Right,
And
you were.
And then you stayed
I
behind
stayed behind.
with. Yeah, you already said who you were drinking with.
Oh, with Eric Hart and
Yes.
I had a drink,
Yes.
and it extended through the evening.
Yes, it did.
Right, and you blew us off. I'm just saying. What?
What time did you go home?
I went to my room at midnight.
Yeah, midnight. Midnight, incidentally, and poor Larry O'Connor was still down there at midnight.
Yeah.
And Mary and I are sitting here talking about this and going, "Who you guys?" We were.
Me.
Eventually, Nietzsche
Imagine-
shows up.
I showed up and you weren't there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And we're sitting there and
I'm going to the Westin.
Yeah.
That's where I went.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
I didn't walk up that hill.
We could have pushed you.
Yeah.
we could have
And
rolled
then we
you
could have
up
just
the hill.
rolled down.
Rolled down
Rolled right
the
down the street.
Literally.
I tell you what, you guys came over to where I was having dinner
Yes.
last
But
night.
we came to you.
Yes, but
Yes.
it was fun banter. Like I had
Yes.
fun.
I had fun.
That could have been a show.
It could have been a show. It could have been a show.
By the way, you know what Jerry's pulled out already.
What is he pulled out of?
His flask.
Dear Lord, it's not 1:00.
This
Wait,
is
I
my
just-
present
Okay,
for
can I
Jerry.
just say that the St. Patrick's Day hat and the flask is just a little bit of stereotyping. You would never do that.
This big Irish head.
You talked about it several times last night. You drew my attention to it several times. We had just met, and he's drawing his attention to
Oh,
within 5 seconds. I knew he was Irish.
look
He
at
had
that!
to tell
Look
me
at that! Look at that head!
the
I wanna
hair,
carve up that head.
that and the hair,
Make a pot of soup out of that head.
and the hair. We had to talk about the hair. I got a great head of hair.
Don't
My
mind him.
By the way,
He used to be an Irishman.
look at it right here. It's really good right now.
Oh, you're on camera? I didn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
know you were on
yeah,
camera.
You're not on camera.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I'm staring at myself.
I did hair and
Yes.
makeup this morning, but it doesn't always
Me
last.
too.
Well, you are, as you said, genetically blessed, so you don't need to.
I do have a little concealer on once in a while.
So Mary, for those of you who don't know, Mary does. I'm
Plus
talking to camera. Mary does 2 podcasts.
Yes.
You do your lifestyle podcast on Tuesdays,
Yes.
and you do your political podcast on Thursdays.
Yes.
See, I
Phil
knew
Kerpen's
about your
more fun.
political podcast. I didn't know about the lifestyle one,
Which
I'm going to listen
is
to.
my old radio show. Well, tonight someone was going to be on with me tonight and then canceled for a better deal. So neither one of you is
That would be me.
Neither-
She's referred
neither
to
one of
me.
you is highly reliable. How the heck you guys get out of get going in the same directions beyond me?
Habit. It's because we've known each other for
Well,
too
why
long.
can't you do our show?
Because I'm going to dinner with you and our friends.
See,
Yes.
I might,
Yes.
I might. He doesn't know this yet. I might cancel him.
cancel and come on my podcast.
That would be funny.
Come on, yeah,
You,
sure.
you should.
Hang on.
Is it on my lap? You should cancel. You should cancel and come on my podcast tonight.
That'd be
That
so
would-
funny. Where are you going to do it from here?
Yeah, here, or if nobody shows up, I'll do it from my room by myself in my pajamas.
That's
But,
the best way.
There you go.
I did so on WBAL. I did about a year 2 to 6, and it was during COVID, and we were broadcasting from home.
Yes.
And I would be at football practice. I coached varsity football, and I'd come home and take a quick shower after practice because it was we were doing morning practices, and I put my pajamas on, or like comfy sweats.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd sit and do 4 hours of radio in my sweatpants. I loved it.
Well, that meant yeah. Well, a lot of
That's an image, Gary. What you say without saying is, thank you for the image. I will not be able to get that out of my head.
on the upside, I don't.
Okay, don't get into the whole dating thing because I already tried covering that with him.
Wait,
I'm married. What are you talking about? I don't dates.
Yes.
Date my wife.
Yes.
I
you did your wife. Where are we
I
going with
date
this?
my
Oh,
wife.
date
Oh
your
my!
wife.
I would
I
never
thought you said
say
you did
that.
my- I thought that's what you
Oh
said.
my goodness.
I'm so
Eric, I
sorry.
apologize.
Talking about dating
Oh,
your
I
wife
do.
last night,
That's
though.
exactly
We were
right.
talking about that.
exactly it.
Yeah.
My
I love my wife. So she's awesome.
Friday nights we go
Yeah.
to the range
Yeah.
and we go shooting on Friday nights.
What?
What I told Erica was that part of like our church did a 21-day fast in January.
Oh,
And so you could do a full fast or you could fast a meal. What I decided when I told Eric, I said, I think we should, as part of the fast, live more purposeful. And I said, you and I should spend more time together. Like,
I love that.
Like just and for us, sometimes a date means like literally going to McDonald's and getting a fish fillet.
on Friday. During Lent. Fridays during Lent. There you
Anyway,
go.
I'm very blessed. Eric,
I love that. I love that.
So
All right, I know you have somebody else.
No, real quick. Because you and I talked about this a little bit last night.
Real quick.
yeah.
Tell the story last
I
night.
told
Just real quick.
Jerry, I told the WBAL story to Steph.
We're freezing. We're standing outside freezing. Some people didn't have coats and freezing goose.
And I
And he's
keep
like,
going. I keep
30
going.
seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
All right.
He's so
Because I think I asked you this
He's
last
so
night.
funny.
thank God he's cute.
The concept, thank you. And the concept of couples dating.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So
You're a weirdo.
hey, Jerry finds it weird that my wife and I will go out with other couples.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
It's not dating. It's dating. And you make it sound like something I'm going to see on
Yes.
TLC, right?
Yes.
Yeah, don't call it that. That's weird. The calling it
All
that
right.
is weird.
Calling it that is weird, but the act of going out with another couple is not weird.
We don't have
There we
friends
go.
for dinner. Like,
No. See, Jeremy, for Jerry, it's the action, regardless of what you call it. The act of going out with another
did
couple.
you ever think that maybe there aren't other couples that will go out with him?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe that
could
has
be-
crossed my,
and
that
then
has crossed my
husband
mind.
and making him feel
know.
bad.
And I will go over someone's house and have dinner there.
Yeah, but that's like a long thing then, right? Like if you're just meeting up with for dinner,
Exactly.
it's dinner, dessert,
Who pays
you're
the
out.
bill? Who pays the bill?
What do you mean? You split the
I don't
bill?
like to split bills.
No, you say,
I refuse
okay,
to split a bill.
this is on our bill and that's on their bill.
I
Oh,
wouldn't do.
you really break it down?
Not necessarily. No, frankly.
50 love and okay.
Yes.
See, the thing is, here's the real reason why I don't like couple dating, like you do, you pineapple, is because
Lady, can we stop calling it that?
he calls it.
Step away from a thruple.
Oh my God. He's back to all the thruples today. Whole thing.
Let me make a long story short.
See, that's his line.
I don't,
He breaks all his promises. He's broken
Because
all of his
I-
promises to me.
I don't like splitting the bill. So whenever I go out with people, I always pay the bill.
Compelled to pay the bill.
It's very expensive. I won't do it anymore.
I don't mean
Okay.
to be rude, but I have a hit.
That's
I gotta
all right.
go.
All
I'm
right,
so
Mary
sorry.
Walter, thank you
They
so
just
much
come
for
take
joining
it.
us. There you go.
And who's buying dinner tonight? I ain't splitting the bills.
No
Oh,
one's
he's
buying
fine.
my dinner
He's
tonight.
fine.
Who's paying for my
He's-
dinner tonight? I don't have a free dinner tonight.
Well,
Who's paying for my dinner?
Talk to Banger.
All right. I can't. I would invite you
Pineapple.
to the dinner, but I can't invite you to my dinner tonight.
That's
We'll figure it out.
If
Fine.
I drop out, I'll let you know.
all right.
Yes. I'll drop out and go do
Thank
your
you
podcast.
so much.
All right.
Very God bless you. Thank you.
Unless one of you breaks a promise.
I'm sorry, James. We gotta let Charlie sit down if that's all right.
Charlie
Charlie Sauer.
Sauer.
Come and join
Who is
the
filled with joy. I don't know why they call him Sauer. I don't get it.
You got to have the family
for a
name is
second.
the opposite.
Are you aware of Charlie's sort of personal history and why he is interested in intellectual property? Are you aware
Well,
that Charlie
he's-
Sauer's mother is an inventor?
Well, I thought he was an astronaut.
Yes, that's true
I
too.
did know that. You told me, but real quick, tell our audience who
Charlie
is.
Sauer is the founder of the Market Institute.
Yes.
Very interested in all kinds of issues. I had him on the Lunch Hour podcast to talk about intellectual property issues and learned that you love to tinker.
I love to tinker.
Building a better
A
mousetrap.
jolly tinker he is.
Yeah, Jolly Tinker he is. And that your mother was an inventor. Tell him, because no people haven't. You can go on. Speaking
We
of capital,
believe in
You can
intellectual
go see the
property
full
on
interview.
here on the Langer Rogers. What's the name of the show? Andrew and Jerry Save the World.
Which, if we had them behind us, it would be as simple as that. Tell us all a little bit. Tell Jerry a little bit about that, because it is a fascinating story.
Well, it started off, my mom's a single mom, and that's hard for people, right? And so she was sitting on the couch trying to figure out how she was going to pay for my sports and pay for the shoes that I wanted.
Sure.
And she's like, you know what? I just need to come up with that one great idea. And she's like, somebody came up with a pet rock. I can come up with an idea.
Right.
And it turns out that I was a baseball player. I was a football player. She was also a photographer for the Kansas City Royals at the time.
No kidding.
And so she came up with this idea because Bo Jackson was the popular player.
Instagram.
She did not come
No.
up with Instagram. This was the next best thing, though.
Jerry,
the web.
Exchangeogram.
Exchangeagram. Was that it?
On the
Yeah.
web, on the line.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It was called the bow ball. So it was a baseball football. So shape of a football, but it had baseball stitching on the corners, filled with beanbag stuff. It was awesome. My friends and I played with it all the time. Everybody in
She
Leawood,
came up with
Kansas
this
knew what they
idea
were.
and did what then?
So
'Cause
she,
I have ideas every day.
Yes.
It's a question of what do I do?
well, you know, that's what is it? Is it the Black Queen that has six ideas that are unuseful before anybody else wakes up?
Yeah.
So this was an idea, and the idea is if you have an idea, if you have that invention, the problem is you actually have to go execute. So she actually went and she called it the bow ball.
Yes.
And that trademark ended up failing, but it ended up being called the all ball. And she was able to get it onto Walmart shelves. Now there's things that happen in the
All
background,
ball.
but it
Yeah,
was awesome. It was called Anything's Possible. They actually teach her case in law schools now, though. That's she
Made $1 million.
everybody knew she did not. She was one of those people that
She made enough to buy you a uniform and spikes.
she was able to continue providing me food and continue providing me sustenance. But then when I came on to Capitol Hill is when I saw what the problems were that she was actually facing.
This is great.
And that's the fact that the big companies have lobbyists in DC all the time. And when you have intellectual property, that's a cost of them doing business. So they are attempting to make the laws
harder and harder to get a patent, harder to get a copyright, harder to defend that patent.
Sure.
And so it's fun that I grew up with a single mom that was just trying to produce or care for me. And now I get to fight these issues on Capitol Hill. And for me, it's fun. It's fighting cronyism at its kind of worst.
All right. The next thing I want you to talk about real quick is the bucket example. And tell Jerry about the bucket with the money in the bucket.
So
the money in the bucket.
Charlie explains it because it's his thing. Anyway, go ahead.
So a lot of people don't understand the patent system. So even when I give that example of the patent system's getting harder for my mom, a lot of people don't understand it, but it's about incentives. And so I did an experiment a couple of months ago where I took 2 buckets out, and you can play along with this experiment in your head. But I put a $5 bucket right at the people's feet. Right. And then I went out another 10 feet and I put down another $5 bucket.
Where, like outside somewhere?
Yeah, I was outside of a bar in Burke, Virginia. So
you
just showing up and putting down $5
bar shenanigans, Jerry, something you should be very familiar with.
No, I had money in my pocket. I was handing out cash to people, and I handed them a ping pong ball, and I said, all right, you can choose which bucket you want to throw it into. So you have a bucket at your feet that's $5, one that's 10 feet out, it's $5. Which bucket do you throw it into?
You throw it in the one at your feet.
You put it at the one in your feet, because there's no benefit to take the risk of throwing into the far $5 bucket. I will say there is a 10th dentist. So there was one person that actually did try to take the risk. But for the next experiment, I put a $5 bucket at people's feet and I put a $10 bucket further out. At that point, about 70 to 80% of the people took the risk.
All right.
And that's what a patent does for our system. It gives you that incentive to actually take a risk.
Sure.
Yes.
Look at that there.
And then didn't you do one with $100 bucket, or am I just sort of making that up in my mind?
Well, we talked about it, and it was what would happen if I put $100 bucket out there. And it's the fact that if I put $100 or $1,000, almost everybody then is going to take the risk. But I think we basically showed what the patent system is. Jerry just said he has ideas all the time, but he hasn't taken that risk.
No.
The thing is a lot of people don't take the risk. So I thought about 60% was a good number.
I have an idea for an app.
Okay. It's an exchange.
I'm serious about this. You do this, Charlie or James or whomever.
I'm in.
And it tells you exactly where to strike that person, knock them out with one punch.
They've done
and you call it don't take off your jacket app. He's not listening to me. Jerry is completely enthralled by somebody who's walking by.
Because
it's totally distracted.
No, because a guy tried to get a picture and he was shoved away.
He needs that app. Look, don't take off your jacket.
I thought it was going to be a fist,
an altercation.
I have the bad seat here. I have to look at you two yahoos.
Yes,
this is CPAC is the best people watching.
It is
in town.
So that was the former Fox News and current Don Jr.
Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yeah, that's and a guy came over trying to take a picture. And someone pushed him away.
Oh, I see.
And then it looked for a brief second there was going to be a fight.
Oh, that would
right in front
that would be awesome, man. If that happened,
James would have got run over,
and James would have turned the camera around, and we would have gotten all of a sudden
stand up.
All of a sudden turns to rough and around.
I don't want to leave my flask behind. It was all it's a whole thing.
You don't leave the flask behind.
The other day, I couldn't sleep, so I went downstairs. It was hot upstairs in my house. I went downstairs. And I decided to lay on the couch. It was cool, and I put the ceiling fan on. And around 4 a.m, I get a sense someone's in the house. And I see in the kitchen this shadowy figure. And I know it's not my daughter's. And I'm like, did someone break? Do I have to get and beat this guy up? Like in my head, like I'm not worried about beating him up.
Of course, yes.
But I'm like, I had to get up.
Well,
and I said to whoever it was, I said, who's that? Like angry voice, like loud. And it was Liam.
But he was son.
But Liam is 8. He looked small.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't know how lucky you are.
Oh my God.
I almost had to get up.
Yeah, I did. Yes. You're not going to live to be 9 years old if you keep doing those things.
On these occasions when I have gotten into a little bit of a
celebratory mood.
Yeah. Or when I get, like when I was younger, if someone in a bar, like, you're in a bar and you're having a good time and some yutz bumps into you, I usually say, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
But every so often you get a yutz who goes, oh, you want to fight?
Yeah.
Ooh. And my response is always yes. Always.
Yes.
And 99% of the time they walk away.
All right. 99% of the time.
but that-
so 99 times out of 100, but there's always that one.
Always
that
one. And my
Yes.
thought was always, oh,
Fuck.
I got to get up and hit this guy now.
I'm sorry, Geraldine.
You know, and also when you hit somebody, it's not just about hitting them. You gotta prepare for an exit.
I'm going to bring this
Yes.
back to incentives because
Yes.
you and I are built the same. And I had a theory by the time I got out of college, I would walk through a crowd with my football buddies and my baseball buddies. And I was always the person that would get hit by that guy.
Yes.
And it's because
And I'm always
I would-
apologetic, even if they hit. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yes.
Ooh. I'm like I could be an MMA fighter. And you go,
well, they
don't
picked on
know.
us for one reason. So we were shorter than they were, but we also weren't the little string bean. So I think it's the incentive that they had. They thought they could possibly take you and be that guy.
The risk calculus.
like, why ask me? Like,
Yeah.
are you an idiot?
No, let's
Oh,
go.
Yes.
listen. Which gets into why I call the app "Don't Take Off Your Jacket," because Jerry tells a great story.
My brother Timothy and I are in a
Bank.
Wells Fargo bank on
K Street.
K Street, right across from Morton's.
I know the story.
Know each other.
Yes.
well.
So
you do.
it's
Oh,
afternoon, and my brother and I, we're affectionate. You know, Irish people are affectionate,
yes.
and I think he walked in, and I was like, "Oh, Tim," and I gave him a hug, and I gave him a kiss on the cheek. I'm like, "Oh man," and this guy behind me, couple of fags, pardon that.
Yes, of course.
But that's what he said.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I said to him, I said, you know what? If you're gonna comment and you think it's funny, and you want to impress this woman you're with, at least say it low so I don't hear you.
I don't have to deal with it. Yeah.
'Cause now I have to respond somehow.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, that's a bad word. You shouldn't use that word. And I said, shame on you. And I looked at her. I said, shame on you for being with this guy.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, you want to go or whatever he said. I was like, yeah, yes, I do. And
There you go.
he proceeds to take his jacket.
Start to take his
He
jacket off.
starts to take his jacket
Starts
off.
to take a jacket off. And
So
Jerry
I
says,
grabbed it with my left hand because I like to hit with my right, and I grabbed his jacket and made like a knot. I'm like, now what are you going to do?
yes,
I said, you can't. I said, what are you taking your jacket off for?
yes.
And I slapped him a couple times. And I said, I could destroy you right now. I could literally knock you out and leave
The
you.
moral is never try to take off
But
the
then,
jacket.
but then I was
Too much time. Too much
right.
time.
And I
Your
said,
monologue.
and I said, you already think I'm that you think I'm that way. I said, you know what I could do to you? Knock you out, put your pants down. Would you like that? Right here, there's cameras.
Well,
Right here, Wells Fargo.
I like the Burt Kreischer aspect of that. Going after moving the argument to the lady that's with him.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
That's
One more
that's
story,
beautiful.
since it's Irish.
wait. Cyrus Aaron, is this the New Jersey Turnpike story?
No,
I
no,
love
that's a
that
bad
story.
I won't tell
All
that
right.
story. That was bad. That was wrong.
Wait, if this is a good story, I got a bad story. Let me tell the bad story
All
so
right.
you can.
We'll finish on a high note.
I only got in one fight all the way through college, even after those people coming in
I got the
and
one
hitting
fight
me.
today.
But
I'm joking.
the my roommate got in the fight and he said, all right, it's go time. And so I was like, all right, and went behind him, and we got out to the parking lot, and he went to go hit the guy. So I just grabbed the guy in front of me and hit him. And then my friend, the roommate, never ended up getting in a fight. So
Oh man,
I just held my guy and I go, I'm sorry, man. I thought they were getting in a fight. And he just looked at me like demoralized that I chose to start the fight in the fight.
There
and we
you
were just
go.
going to walk away.
Bravo.
All right. Good story.
Well, I had a good story. I forgot. I
right.
forgot. No, but
Let's hold off on this
so-
because Phil Kerpen was
Telling stories here.
That's all right. Okay.
Real quick. So my oh.
Real quick.
30 seconds. So my sister was University of Scranton, called my mom one evening and said that some young man
Some roughs.
was inappropriate with her. So my mother calls me.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, what do you want me to do with this information? I said, I'm going to go to Scranton. So I called my brother-in-law, David. He said, I'm not going with you. You're going to kill somebody. I said, thanks, David.
David's no longer part of the
and
Justice League.
I said, I'm writing your name down. I'm crossing the line right through
I've
it.
done that.
And so I called my father. He had just had carotid artery surgery.
Okay.
So both his stitches up like Frankenstein. And I said, Pop, we're going. Right. So I go over I lived in the same town with my parents. I get in my little Jeep Cherokee I tell my wife, "You're not stopping me," and I took some tools and put them in the Jeep, and she's like, "Jerry, I'm sorry, Colleen's in trouble." So I pick my dad up, and my mother comes in her house coat. "What are you doing? Jesus wouldn't do this. I'm coming too." So my father gets in the back seat, my mother gets in the front seat
In her house coat.
and she has all Jesus tapes. This is back in 90 whatever, and she has all the praise tapes and Jesus this, Jesus that. And we're driving to 3 hours, and I'm not saying anything. I'm
Just listening to the tapes.
and we're approaching Scranton, and my mother says to my father, "Jerry," my dad's name is Jerry, "what would Jesus do?" My father just sit there, "Geraldine, he'd kill him."
Yes.
And we get there,
Right.
we go to her house. She was living in like a sorority house type thing, and she was sleeping. And I said to one of her girls, it was like 4 a.m. now.
Yeah,
Like one of her,
guy.
or it was maybe 5 a.m. I said, "Who's the guy?" "Oh, it was Charlie Sauer." It wasn't Charlie Sauer, but he lives next door. I'm like, "He lives next door." So I'm like, come on, Dad. I give my father a baseball bat. And I said, "Look," I said, you're sick. I said, "Just stand in the corner, and if someone else comes after me, just pop.
Yeah.
Don't let me get hit from behind."
Yeah.
I said, "If there's 2 or 3 guys, I'll be fine, but not from behind. That's your job." "All right, kid." And so we go in, and I walk into the house, and the guy's on the couch, and I said, "Hey,
There we go.
where's so and so?" "He's upstairs." My father and I go upstairs. First of all, why that guy told me?
Because I knew that guy was a scumbag.
So I opened the door. There's 3 bedrooms. Opened the door. I didn't know which bedroom it was.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, is so and so here?" And the guy in the bed across says, "Yeah, that's him right there." Right. So I grabbed him.
Number one rule.
I grabbed him.
You're telling the story.
I
on the
grabbed
air.
him by his head, by his hair,
Oh my God! This
Dragged
is all
him out-
fiction, by the way. This is
dragged-
all nothing exactly
Yeah.
happened.
and I kicked him down the stairs. Right. And
Allegedly.
no one does nothing. There's good English there.
Yes.
And
no one
so then
does
I took
nothing.
him out to the porch.
There's guys you
And
can
then I
hit.
kicked
There's
him down
guys you can't hit.
stairs. By this time, my sister comes running. "That's the wrong guy. He walked me home."
Oh
So,
my
and
God!
I put hands on him. But here's the point of the story. I picked him up, I brushed him off. I said, "Go put a pair of jeans on and a shirt. We'll take you out for breakfast."
There you go. We threw you down the stairs. Now we're going to take.
And I
you
took
out.
him for breakfast.
Charlie
There you
Sauer.
go.
Thank you so very much
Thank you,
for joining
guys.
us.
Then I'm
Appreciate it, man.
God bless Charlie.
Thanks,
Phil,
Dr. Phil Kerpen.
doctor.
Doing, guys?
We're doing great. Committed to unleash prosperity.
How
American
you Mets
commitment
looking this
and commitment to
preseason?
seniors.
The best team you can get for $400 million, I guess.
Wow.
I don't know. We'll see.
You know, we were
Um,
talking to Julio Rivera about the Mets last night. In fact, we had a bit of
Julio
a
Rivera.
yes, reactionary.
Do I know
Times.
Julio
Yes, you do.
Rivera?
You've met him before.
Who is he?
I guess
Reactionary Times, the editor of Reaction
Oh,
Times.
okay, very
the
good.
question is how many starts can you get from 2 40-year-old aces? You know,
Well,
that's
It's
that's,
only
that's
money.
the
Phil.
unknown. That's
they give
the
you
unknown.
they give you 20 starts, 22. You're in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, look, Verlander was the Cy Young last year.
I know.
It's incredible.
Was he 41?
I think he's 40 now, so he was 39
Wow,
last
wow.
year. But I mean, yeah, he was the Cy. But people are like, oh, he's old. Well, I mean, he was the Cy Young last year.
All right. So, listen, moving on from baseball, because we are here at CPAC. For those of you who don't know, the headphones, I haven't plugged those in. Sorry.
I have one more baseball question.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
What do you think of the pitch clock?
I don't love it.
Or I hate it.
I think one of the great things about
I'll see you
baseball is
fellas.
that there is no clock,
Yes.
right? You know, it's the
You're
sort of the
right.
pastoral afternoon in the park kind
Yes.
of
And again,
atmosphere and environment. But
when you were a kid, you went to Shea Stadium. I went to Yankee Stadium. I didn't want it to end.
Right.
Like I wasn't there like, "Hey, Dad, we've been here for 2.5 hours."
Right. If you're
Should we
watching,
go?
if you're watching your watch while you're watching baseball, maybe you shouldn't be.
I wanted to get there early. I wanted to stay after to see the ball players go to the parking lot.
I
wanted
always
to,
went. I always went like insanely early. When I was a kid, I like to go like 3-4 hours early because
See,
in batting practice, there's almost no competition for the foul balls. So
Right.
you can almost always get one. In the game, your chances are very slim.
Right.
But if you go for the batting practice, and when you're a kid, a baseball is like, it's like
Gold.
gold, it's like the
100%.
thing. So
I have a baseball that Ricky Henderson hit.
Very nice.
Yeah, when he was a Yankee. I still have it.
I
It's on
actually,
it's on a shelf in my.
It's not signed.
my
no,
daughter,
We need to get that signed.
just this past season, my daughter actually got balls 2 nights in a row.
Wow.
During the game both times. They were actually both tossed, not hit directly,
Okay.
but still,
It's cool.
and they were both Robinson Cano balls. One that he tossed and one that he hit as a foul ball.
Amazing.
So unfortunately, because of his drug use and cheating and so forth, they won't be a Hall of Famer.
Sure.
But she did get 2 balls from a notable player anyway.
A notable player. Phil, I was talking with some of the folks who are doing a promotion for the work that you're doing. You have a panel today at 4:00 with Steve Moore. This is Thursday.
They actually moved it to 3:30, so I'm hoping Steve will be here in time.
Okay. Well, listen, you always have me.
Yeah.
Because I can play that part.
Self-promote.
Yes. So, but it's Commitment to Seniors, which is under the American Commitment brand. Talk about what you're up to.
Yeah, we've been doing this project for a few years now, but this year it's getting a lot more attention than it has in the past, which I always welcome. But basically what we're trying to do is shine a spotlight on the way that AARP operates as sort of an advocacy and marketing arm of United Health and of the health insurance industry more broadly. And
because AARP isn't actually, as you and I have talked about, isn't really an organization. It's a brand.
Yeah, I mean, and in fact, they no longer disclose the exact amount that they get from United Health specifically. They used to until about 5 years ago.
Interesting.
But they make about $1 billion a year in corporate royalties.
Holy cow.
And we think that about 80% of that is from United Health. So they have some other deals with auto insurance and life insurance, other products.
They sell Medicare Advantage.
They sell Medicare Advantage, Medicare Part D, and Medigap. Medigap is the biggest of the 3.
Okay.
And the way that they've got this deal structured, they charge United Health what they call a royalty.
Yes.
Of 4.95% of premiums every month forever in all of those branded United Health plans.
That's wild.
And because they call it a royalty for the use of their intellectual property, as opposed to a commission,
Sure.
they don't have to be a registered insurance salesman or agent. They don't have to follow any state regulations or rules or so forth. And the only disclosure that's carried on, the United Health websites for these products is it says, AARP is paid a royalty that goes to their general operating.
Sure, right.
So they don't have the percentage, and they don't say that it comes out of every premium forever. So I think most people think it's a one-time fee, or they don't realize that they're getting skimmed every month forever to the tune of literally billions of dollars. And the president's been going after junk fees. This is the one junk fee that Democrats
Sure.
love,
Yes, of course.
because AARP spends a huge amount of money on politics, and it's almost all for Democrats.
That's
so they did during the so-called Inflation Reduction Act debate last year.
Sure.
There were 71 members of Congress, House and Senate, that they did their full panoply of support with advertising and press conferences and events and all of that. And it was probably worth, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars for each one of those members, the equivalent of a political intervention, but they do it as a nonprofit. So they don't say vote for, but they say, is the great, wonderful hero of seniors and all this kind of
Call them and thank them.
They did it for 71 members of Congress. 70 of them were Democrats.
Oh, wow.
The one Republican was Mike Crapo.
Yes.
So
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Essentially, you've got a fusion of the largest for-profit health insurance company in America with a nonprofit insurer. And we're trying to get clarity on this, but I don't think that 5% ever gets taxed. I think it gets paid into a trust and then into the nonprofit. So it's a little bit of a tax shelter as well. And then the money overwhelmingly benefits Democrats. So we're trying to get Republicans on the Hill to sort of
look more at this.
Figure out if this is actually legal. I know it's not ethical. And, if they ought to at least strengthen the disclosure so seniors know they're getting 4.95% of their premiums.
I mean,
this is the junk fee. The president says get rid of junk fees.
On its head. Yeah. Imagine if the Heritage Foundation, someone was using the Heritage Foundation IP and they were getting paid royalties of $80 billion, right? $80 billion is the number you
800.
Oh, 800. I'm sorry.
800 million.
800 billion. So almost $1 trillion.
No, 800 million. 800 million a year. Over the last 10 years, it's something like $7.5 or $8 billion, which, is in the context of a government budget might not sound like much these days.
In terms of
nonprofit in the private sector, it doesn't sound like a huge sum, but in the context of nonprofits, it makes them like 10 times bigger than anyone else.
Anything else?
Here's a question for you. So, I'm interested in Medicare Advantage, and I know that the Biden administration is coming after Part C Medicare Advantage, and I'm surprised that AARP has not done anything to push back.
Well, I think the reason they haven't done anything to push back is even though their Medicare Advantage business is growing,
Yeah.
Medigap is still their cash cow.
All right.
And so I think that their
So they can
analysis,
sacrifice that.
their analysis is probably that they can win either way. But, you know, on the whole, more people in fee for service is good for them because they have dominant market share in
Sure.
Medigap.
I get it. All right. Well, there.
Would be my guess. But look, everything they do just happens to line up with the corporate interests of United Health, which, you know, from which they derive revenues that are about triple their total membership dues.
That's amazing.
And by the way, they've been sued. There was a big federal lawsuit
Well, you
on
get
this issue.
10% off at the gas
Yeah,
station
right.
or whatever.
Well, there's a big-
FedEx,
there was
all
a big
the-
federal lawsuit. They tried to get a class action certified. It ended up being dismissed. But there was a number of AARP members that basically said, look, they're ripping us off. They have a duty to us as members. They shouldn't be charging this fee. They should be using it to, you know, reduce our premiums or, you know, and the way that AARP got this lawsuit dismissed, it's called Krukas versus AARP, KRUKAS, if anyone wants to get it looked up. But it was dismissed in 2021, basically because AARP wrote in their brief, we have no relationship of trust with our membership. It is a normal business relationship. And they said that our fiduciary obligation is not to the seniors who are members of AARP, but to AARP itself. And therefore, if we maximize our revenue, that is consistent with our fiduciary obligation.
Is the
And the
definition
judge
of
agreed
for-profit.
and dismissed the case. Yeah, but this is apparently not had implications for their tax status.
That's
But it's,
amazing.
The left does everything better than we do, than the right. Everything.
But I think this is why we keep losing these big health debates because they can come in and, you know, they made the number one issue in the country last year on healthcare.
Yeah.
Prescription drug prices,
Right.
which nobody thought was the top issue,
Right.
including if you look at AARP's own poll.
But here's a
But they made it the big
I
thing.
have an inside baseball question about AARP and the Inflation Reduction Act. We see what's happening. This isn't negotiation. What they're doing is the HHS secretary sets the price for whatever drugs he chooses. No negotiation, sets the price. Companies, especially companies that were in the business of rare diseases and this sort of thing, stopped research, literally shut down labs. We know this is going to hurt innovation. It's going to hurt seniors. How does AARP get away with
doing this?
with doing it? And my thing is, why are they doing it?
Well, I think that they've made the determination, along with their corporate partner and principal funder, that it's good for United Health and for its captive PBM OptumRx to not have as many innovative drugs because those are going to be expensive drugs and those are big expensive
it.
claims
That's
for their
what it
plans
is.
to pay out. And so while seniors, I think, would benefit from that innovation, I think the business perspective of the health insurers is, you know, even if we end up having some more hospitalization later on or something like that, because drugs are, you know, drugs used to be, when drugs were all small molecule,
Right.
even the most expensive drugs were so much cheaper than the hospitalizations
right,
and the
right.
procedures that they would avoid that the
Right.
insurers were totally in favor of it. It was a win for them. Now, I think the economics of it have changed somewhat because the nature of biological drugs
Sure.
is they're living organisms. They're difficult to produce. There's the development pipeline is much more challenging. The drugs are still definitely worth it from a value standpoint, which is why they can command those prices. But I think the insurance industry and the PBMs as well have sort of figured out that maybe it's not great for their business to have as many
Sure.
of these innovative biotech drugs. And I think that
No,
that's
You're right.
I think that's why they're now okay with price controls. I think it's remember the other aspects of that bill were unambiguously beneficial for United Health.
Sure.
So they got, you know, they also got in that bill, they got a permanent ban on the Trump rebate rule.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where you were on that. I know there's some disagreement among conservatives, but regardless of where you were on that rule, if you're a seniors group,
Sure.
you ought to have wanted discounts to be passed on to seniors at the point of sale. And of course,
Right.
that's never going to happen now.
So
And
what's
that's
next with PBMs? It's a big issue.
well, they're very much in the crosshairs right now of Congress
So
is
the
investigating.
PBMs are the middlemen, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a big fan of, say, the Senate bill that's been introduced, which is a bipartisan bill, and Grassley signed on
Sure.
to it.
Yeah,
Because to me, that's a price control. You know, it's like we're going to answer all these bad price controls by controlling another aspect of the
Got
market.
it.
It's
Sure,
not
of
really
course.
the approach that I would have. But you know, they titled the bill transparency, and then it actually has price control, which it's like, okay, but I think that some transparency would be beneficial for people to have more insight into the way that works. And to me, the fact that AARP is kind of in the pocket of the largest for-profit insurance company, which also owns one of the largest PBMs, is something that needs a lot of transparency, because I think that affects their advocacy work and has a lot of implications for the way all of these healthcare debates have gone down. And so, I think there's something messed up in the way we've structured our drug markets, when one of the ways that you've got sort of this unregulated kind of middle sector between the regulated insurance companies and the plans, which are heavily regulated. And that unregulated sector is sort of these PBMs. But the way they've discovered that they can save money is restrictive formularies, right? So they're saving money by limiting choice and limiting the availability.
And if which is, by the way, what we all predicted was going to happen with that.
So, but in a normal functioning market, that's the opposite of what you get, right?
Right.
You don't get grocery markets that do exclusive deals to exclude a bunch of choices.
Absolutely. 100%.
Chips Ahoy.
You see the opposite. The way you reduce prices, you increase choices, you increase competition. 100%. So we've got this pretty weird phenomenon where
this is exactly what Bernie Sanders wanted.
You've got this pretty weird phenomenon where the one way they figured out that they're actually allowed that can reduce prices is by doing these exclusive deals, restricting things from formularies. And in fact, often what they've done is they've forced people to buy brand drugs as opposed to generics. So you're paying more, but somehow they make more money because they've done an exclusive deal that has a kickback or a rebate, which doesn't get passed on. So it's a very strange arrangement. I don't think it would happen the way it did if we had a free market. But I don't think the solution is to price control then. So I think shining a spotlight is good, but I don't necessarily like the bills that have been introduced yet.
Real quick.
Really?
We're here at CPAC. There's a lot of pushback against what's happening in the culture, what's happening in politics. When will Republicans specifically, maybe conservatives more broadly, realize that big corporations aren't our friends? And a lot of the problems, even in the healthcare market, is because big pharma does bad things. And you know who I am. I support pharma, but big insurance.
We know who you are, Jerry.
Right. So my point is that big corporations are part of even diversity, equity, inclusion mandates. It's big corporations doing this.
I think pharma in particular is in a much worse political situation than they even appreciate, because conservatives now hate them over the COVID stuff.
That's right.
And liberals will always hate them because they hate anyone who makes money, especially off, how dare you make money off saving lives? That's so distasteful, even though the alternative is not saving lives.
That's right.
So I think they're in a bad situation. But look, I think that corporate America has really bought into the woke agenda. You're now seeing a sea change. The fact that the governor of Florida now has huge applause lines about, sticking it to Disney is a huge change in the way sort of the right has related to corporate America. And the challenge I think we have as free market activists is, how do you challenge that against the bad corporate practices in a market sense and against the special giveaways and the subsidies and so forth in a government policy sense, but not fall prey to supporting bad government policies that intrude in the market and make.
But I tell you, in my other job, working at
what other job is that, Jerry?
Real Clear Policy, Real Clear Health. I talk to members and staff, and they want to stick it. Like there's a
Well, the new chairman of Ways and Means, Jason Smith, says we don't want to do anything that helps corporate America. We're just cutting the corporate rate again, and that's not our focus.
But I remember years ago talking to a lobbyist at Pharma, and she said, what else are they going to do? They have to. So we're going to do these 8 bad things and these 3 good things, but because of 3 good things the GOP likes so much, they'll forgive us to 8 bad things. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think, like on importation. I think that there was once a solid bipartisan, we're not going to let this happen. I think that's gone.
I agree with that.
I think importation.
Well, DeSantis supports it. So if he becomes the nominee.
Right.
So, it just shift gears a little bit, Phil, because I had a conversation yesterday with a professor of international relations, sort of talking about what's going on in Ukraine. I know that's not your core issue, but one of the things I was talking about was this choice, right? Which is this idea of, because I'm uncomfortable. I'm as a hawk about Russia as you can get. But I get a little uncomfortable that we're propping up, the Ukrainian economy with US dollars, and then positive this idea of, but if the Biden administration came to Republicans in Congress in order to get their support for this and said, I'm going to turn on the spigot. I'm going to flood the market with American oil. We're going to build refineries because we're going to bottom out the global price of petroleum. I wonder if there wouldn't be still a block of Republicans who wouldn't go along with this because they don't want to hand Biden the win, even though it's exactly what we'll. I also think that the Biden administration would never do this.
The Republicans have been very supportive of Ukraine aid. I think even to a political fault for a lot of them.
Okay.
Because I think the base thinks that we're spending way too much and a lot of it's being stolen. But I think that most Republicans, certainly in the Senate at least, with maybe one or two exceptions, have sort of taken the geostrategic view that this makes sense and we're going to do it. So
on this issue of if the Biden administration came to the folks who were skeptical even in the base and said, hey, I'm going to turn on the spigot because we want to destroy the Russian economy, there would be and I don't think the Biden administration would ever do this, even though that's the right course. But I think that there would be a certain core group of folks who would say no.
Yeah, some people might be against anything that the president of the other party is for, but I do think that would be a very popular thing. I mean, look, we were extraordinarily fortunate, and especially Europe was extraordinarily fortunate that we had a very mild winter this year.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of I see an enormous downside risk in terms of energy crisis if we have a harsh winter next year, which could have major political and geostrategic implications. I mean,
you think about this, a tough winter with the energy people dying, and there's a presidential election going on.
Almost every European country explicitly had an energy rationing plan in place because they expected to not be able to meet their energy needs without like shutting off. France was going to shut off all the railways on alternating days and they were going to have rolling blackout. They had all these plans and none of it happened because we were lucky, maybe thanks to global warming or whatever, but we had a very mild winter. But if we have a harsh winter next year, the fundamentals haven't changed. The supply constraints are still there. It's not like increased production. And so all of that is still there and it's ready. And by the way, the World Economic Forum said that the COVID lockdowns and the COVID social pressures are the model for energy and in particular for dealing with global warming. And they might see this as a virtue
what people say
rather than a negative to have a crisis.
I have a follow-up here on this.
But 400, what is it? Between 400, Alex Epstein and Lumberg say that every year in Europe, between 400 and 600,000 Europeans die because they can't afford to heat their homes. And also we know in Germany this year, because they were stupid all in on renewables, Germany is paying South Africa not to burn coal. And now Germany's importing coal from South Africa because they can't meet their energy needs. It's just
they also had the largest apartment building landlord in Germany took away individual unit control of their thermostats.
Oh, wow.
In order to turn them lower at night. If we had had a bad winter, that would have been. I mean, you want to think about how people would have revolted?
This is why nobody should ever get those smart meters that they have, and
right.
This is
if you're a renter, it might not be your choice.
It might not be your choice, but yes.
But yeah, if you're an owner, I mean, we had an issue in Colorado where there are a bunch of people who put the smart thermostats in, and they didn't read the small print because they agreed. Right. They got some $100 or whatever, and the small print said, and we can change your thermostat whenever we need to, and then they actually did it for the first time ever, and people went nuts.
Oh yeah, that's
so. Read the stuff before you sign.
You have to. Yeah, when they're making fundamental changes to your house. Phil, the panel is at 3:30.
Yeah, 3:35. I think unless they changed it again.
You never listen. My panel was delayed last night by 20 minutes, which screwed up my evening schedule, but it happens. Phil Kerpen, American Commitment, as always.
God bless you, buddy.
Thank you so very much for joining us today. It's a nice tie, Phil. You saw his tie.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. I love Phil. Phil is one of the smartest men I know.
So Jerry,
he's a baseball dude.
Jerry has gotten out his laptop, which means that Jerry got some kind of an email and he has to do work somewhere else.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to end the show on this note, Jerry? I mean, we've gone for a little over an hour here.
Sure.
Or do you want me to take a break for a second and pause everything?
No. It's good. I can do two things at once.
Okay, you can.
How do you sign in here, though?
Well, I can't say it on the air. I mean,
right.
Hold on.
That's all right. You do that. I don't want.
No, it's okay, Jerry. We can do two things at once here.
Actually, no, I don't think I need.
Here is the code right there.
Oh, you're a good man.
Oh my God. I have to do this.
Well, I'm doing this.
I'm gonna have to vamp here. So we've been watching. Here we are on Radio Row, obviously grabbing folks as they walk by, which is always fun. Seeing other people. Jerry didn't realize, as we're sitting there talking to Phil Kerpen, that one of the other part-time fill-in hosts from WBAL also walked by, but he doesn't know who that is. So that's fine there. Listen,
is it CPAC Media?
It is CPAC Media, and that is your that is your pass. Whoop.
I'm telling you, thank you.
And Jerry's going to completely tank my Wi-Fi here. Are you in?
Not yet.
All right. There.
What am I? Speedy Gonzalez?
Yes. By the way, I was doing much. Look at this guy with his camera down here on the. I don't know what he's filming from the floor.
So what are you
clearly
forward to CPAC this year?
Well, besides my panel yesterday, my presentation last night, besides doing this show with you and the other dinner that I did last night. Listen, for me, it's always about catching up with old friends.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's folks in the talk radio sphere or folks just generally, you never know who you're going to run into. Media folks who are walking by that you don't get a chance to see.
You're here a day and a half now.
Yeah.
What are your early impressions?
Okay.
About CPAC, but more broadly, what's the state of the conservative movement?
Well, I mean, this is, I had that. It's funny. I had that conversation with somebody, an old friend from college who happens to be here, and we were chatting about this. Right, we have some real issues in our movement in terms of the fractures. Folks who put their own. Well, listen, folks who want to put aside their core actual philosophical values for sort of petty judgments that they have about people. Someone is not conservative enough, and that's a problem.
Is there a lot of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is, and I think frankly it can come on all sides, right? If you're not viewing elected officials, and right, what is the phrase? Trust in God, not in men, or put no trust in fault. What's
my mother would say? Don't trust them as far as you can throw them.
Well, there you go. Yes, and with your bad back, Jerry, you shouldn't be throwing anybody.
Bad back. I got a bad
It's a joke. It's the line from Ferris Bueller's Day.
All right.
With your bad back, Ed, you shouldn't be throwing anybody. The point is that I think they fair amount. I think that there are folks who, for them, it will be Donald Trump or nobody going into 2024. I hope that's not the case. I hope
what's your sense here? Is this a Trump crowd or is it a DeSantis crowd? Is it a Nikki Haley crowd?
Well, I think this is still largely a Donald Trump crowd, but I want to say this with a caveat. I said this to John Justice this morning. I did his show. I think back to the 2015 CPAC, right? The year before the election. And I don't know if you remember this, Jerry, but the buzz at CPAC was that Scott Walker was launching his campaign.
Yeah.
Scott Walker did.
We had him on podcast.
We had him on the podcast back when that was a thing. There's some guy walking around who's like a Perry, somebody who's running for president. Anyway, right. Perry there's somebody with his shirt over here. And the idea, no, there's some no-name guy running for president. And so and he's launching here. But my point is that in 2015, we didn't know what was going to happen. And so everybody was sort of looking at Scott Walker. Scott Walker was coming off a fantastic time as governor of Wisconsin. He had the buzz.
He beat the left in
his home state. And then the campaign went nowhere. Now, again, I say this as someone who still thinks incredibly highly of Scott Walker and thinks Scott Walker could have made a great president of the United States. But we were all looking at Scott Walker in 2015, and by 2016, it was entirely different.
You're right.
Right.
That's exactly right.
And then you look at the 2016 CPAC, and it was all over the place, right? There was the question, I don't remember if it was 15 or 16. I think it was 16. The question was whether or not Donald Trump was going to come to CPAC.
It's funny. Well, the one year we were here, and he didn't show up.
I think
Trump
that was 15.
Right.
And then 16, it was the question again, is Donald Trump going to go to CPAC? And he wound up coming.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
And it was
yes.
and the greatest, I will say, the greatest CPAC event ever
Was
the
that debate?
2016 debate watching.
Oh, what happened then? Remember-
Jerry almost got into a fight. He almost told somebody to go, don't take off your jacket.
Yeah, was
Yes.
because
Trump people.
yeah.
Oh, this is when Jerry was at the point.
I was
never Trump.
I was an anti-Trumper,
Right.
And some Yahoo said something to me, and I think I said something back.
So this is my point, is that, this may be a Donald Trump crowd this year. That does not mean it is going to be a Donald Trump
That's a good
crowd
point.
next year. And frankly, whoever gets the nomination in 2024, the CPAC will become, their party, right? Or their event, because they will be the face of this crowd.
And who's here this year? So Donald Trump is coming,
Right.
and Nikki Haley is coming, correct?
Nikki Haley.
And
Yeah.
who else?
I don't know who else. So this guy Perry, whatever his name
Oh,
is.
the other gentleman who's running.
What was that? Oh, Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be here.
That's right. Yes.
Yes. Who had his, and I like Vivek Ramaswamy.
I love this guy.
Except he had his Aleppo moment the other day. What is Aleppo?
But-
Gary Johnson, right? Remember this? You're the one who always brings it up. What is Aleppo?
yes.
He didn't
What
know
was
what
his-
the nuclear triad was. He went on did a
Neither,
radio.
by the way, neither did Donald Trump in that debate.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
He had no idea
Yeah,
what it was.
there you
In
go.
fact, I think that's what caused the ruckus with the Trumpers.
Yes. Because it was unfair.
He had no idea what it
But
was.
one would think that by now you would be briefed. Hey, this is the nuclear triad. You should know what it is. And the point in the end is, Vivek is here, and I like. I think
I like him.
Look at the IWF.
Anyone
gala.
who pushes back on this whole, I think the most important issue facing the country isn't Ukraine, isn't taxes or regs, it's not price controls, pharma. It is this diversity,
DEI.
equity, and
inclusion.
religiosity that they're forcing on us in the workplace, from Hollywood, in the public schools. It's everywhere.
Right.
It's
Right. I
everywhere.
agree wholeheartedly. And so, and that's a huge chunk of the agenda here, which of course the left is and the leftist press is making fun of, as they're going to do. But that's the thing that amazes me. Right, Jerry?
Right.
And listen, CPAC is and has been for many, many years an important annual event in yours and my life. Right. We come here to CPAC. We see old friends. We do radio. We do other kinds of media.
Right.
Maybe we do a panel or two. Maybe we do a presentation somewhere. We go out and afterwards. What is amazing to me is how much focus the left and leftist media now puts on CPAC. And I guess that's to the credit of, folks like Matt and his team, David and their team. But the ire that is shown at an event that is, frankly, and so I don't want to disparage this, but it is essentially an educational political con in the sense of like a sci-fi convention or a comic convention. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right.
I mean, there's a pageant and
there's
people come here. Hold on.
There's a purpose to that.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, let me be really clear about this. In the same way that you go to a comic book convention to
Right.
go and hear what's going on and to
Sure.
learn more about the actors or the shows or the media or the
gotcha.
movies or whatever, you come here to learn about the organizations or the issues or the
Sure.
people. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. I'm not trying to denigrate this, but to sort of go on this and to place ridicule, or worse, to use this event to try to tear at the conservative.
Well, the funny thing is, you and I were doing our podcast at CPAC, 2019 or 20, I forget.
They all flow together.
And Joe Scarborough
Yes.
came and sat with us for a little bit. Remember,
I vaguely
Morning
remember this.
Joe,
It was
yes.
like 2018.
Yeah,
actually.
and I remember him talking with us. It was the same time Sean Hannity came over
Yes.
as well. But regardless, Joe Scarborough used to be a fixture here,
Yes.
even as a lefty, was a fixture here.
Right.
Now he's on his show mocking this gathering, and I have no patience for that kind of hypocrisy.
Right.
You
Right.
you leveraged it. You were here, and now you're not. And again, disagree with Nikki Haley, disagree with Donald Trump, disagree with
it's interesting you
but
say
don't-
that
why are
because
you mocking
somebody else we know who also did the same thing, who was here, was a
I don't
fixture.
get that.
And it gets to this the phrase that I said. I tweeted this out the other day.
If you're going to mock it, come here and
You're
mock
right.
it.
Right. Well, yes. Could be Borat and sort of dress up as Donald Trump and try to run in. But my point is that there are folks who compare this and say, oh, it's like the Star Wars Cantina bar. Right. And so it's to try to call this a freak show. And all I can do is point out the Cantina bar may have been a freak show, but it's where Han Solo and Chewbacca hung. And Obi-Wan Kenobi would occasionally show up there. Jerry, what do you get out of it?
Well,
what do you get out of it, Jerry?
This year thus far, I thought the dinner last night with these thinkers and these advocates on healthcare policy was very good. It was a great conversation, and frankly, there are 4 or 5 of the folks who are at the table who I wouldn't see otherwise.
That's right.
Tom Schatz was there from.
I don't want you to speak more as to who was at this dinner.
But I want to say something about Tom. I found out that Tom was talking about a recent trip to New York and going to the Bronx for deli.
Oh, at Liebman's.
Yes,
what's the Liebman's?
And we had this great conversation.
I sat next to Tom in a meeting 2 days ago.
We had this great conversation about the Irish and the Jews in New York and the food and Arthur Avenue even. And it was I would never have had that conversation.
So
with
this
Tom,
is what I say.
but for that,
I take a cue from Charles Dickens in talking about CPAC.
But that's what I get from CPAC.
Yes, and I say that the spirit of CPAC isn't necessarily what you get on the main stage or even in the breakout sessions. But the benefit of CPAC, the beauty of CPAC is in the hundreds of little side conversations, the thousands of little side conversations, the interactions you have with people. The ability to have a small conversation about Liebman's Deli, or to talk about whether or not couples dating is a weird thing and shouldn't ever be.
Now, just so everyone knows, Tom is the head of Citizens
Against Government
Waste.
Yes,
but I found out a lot about his family and how they came to New York. He's from Long Island. His daughter lives in Riverdale.
I did not know that.
Is that awesome? That is
some wild. That is wild stuff.
So now, I know Tom does. I know Tom does good work. But now I also have a Bronx connection with this guy.
There you go. See, as do I. I'll have to bring it. I'll have to bring it up with him. So we will be back. Listen, this is a 2-part episode. So this part goes up today, if I can get it up today.
Tomorrow.
Part 2, which we will
Shamil,
tomorrow, Jerry.
What
should I post tomorrow's show tomorrow, or should I wait a week and have it as a 2?
Oh no, we should be post today, and tomorrow.
I will
have them right there.
I will do what I can. Jerry, what do you want folks to do?
Well, you got to find the truth. You got to plant your feet. You got to stand firm. God bless you.
Have a great week. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great CPAC to everybody as Roma walks by. And please, by all means, everybody, stay safe.